Recording has started. Div. We want to look at the div and why we are using div. How important is div? You see, before now, there was no section. No, we've looked at section, right? We've looked at section. We've looked at footer also. We've looked at main also. Let me write it. We've looked at section, footer, main. We've looked at header. Then, okay, let me stop here. You see these 4 elements or these 4 tags, they are all block elements. Please, who can tell me what a block element is?
Is it the one that doesn't share a line?
Good, thank you, sir. Block elements are elements that don't share their lines. Now, before now, all of these things were just written as div. All of them were just div. Then div was used for all of this. There was no section, no footer, no main, no header. Once you want to create a block element, you just use a div. But it was as HTML evolves, then they started introducing these ones. Now, when then do you use div? Well, div is just a general element. Like is used generally. Maybe when you just feel section is not just the right thing to use, footer is not just, main is not just, header is not just, p is not just. Div is like a broad element, but it is a block element. Its usage is broad, unlike these ones that are specific. Section is specific, footer, main, header, p, all of these things, they are all block elements though, but they're actually specific. But this div is it's just used to specify that this thing is a block element, and that's all. Just to show us that this thing is a block element, meaning that div can work in place of this, div can work in place of this, div can work in place of this, in place of this, in place of this. But then don't use div in place of them. Don't. It's good that you specialize, like use the right element. But then div is just to signify that this thing is a block element, meaning that instead of putting a section, I can put a div and it will work. But then that's not the best. But just know that this is like a broad tag. We use tag and element interchangeably. Tags, elements, we use them interchangeably. Div is like a broad, like that covers a lot of things. Tag. Then aside that, you will do something called CSS. Remember, I think at the beginning of this training, I explained to us that HTML is like the skeleton. It's like the structure. You used to create the structure of your page, while CSS is used to style the page. Now, when you are trying to style your page, you may try to use div also. You will try to use div along the line. Div is just used to create a block element. That's or a block tag. When you want something to just stand on its own, and you realize that this thing is not a section, this thing is not a footer, not this, not this, not this, and you're looking at how to go about it, then div is the right element to use there. Do we understand? You want it to stand on its own without sharing its line with anything, but you just think that, well, it shouldn't be a section, it shouldn't be a footer, it shouldn't be all of these things, and you still want to stand on its own, then you think about div. Div is used a lot. It's used a lot. Any question? Can we proceed?
Yes, please.
Just
Yes,
like
sir.
div, we have the span. But the span, it's an inline element. Why this is a block element? This is an inline element, meaning that it shares its line. As time goes on, you may want to pick some things. Let me give an example. Let's say I have a paragraph. Inside this paragraph, I am a boy. Now, if I want this ham to be written in italics, now you know you can use the em, right? But I told you that that's not the lightweight to use the EM anyway. But because I yet to use CSS, I will use this for now. Now, EM. This one will help you to italicize this AM. But yet it will still be on the same line. Now, what thing is this? This EM can actually be a span. Like a span is something like a div, but in this case is for inline element, something that covers a lot of broad things also. A span is used to pick something. Let's say I want to pick this thing. How do I explain this? Okay, look at it this way. I want us to dive a bit into CSS. Now, I will change this back to IAM. This boy, I want it to be, let's say, yellow. This boy, I want it to be yellow. Meaning that I need to find a way of getting this boy alone without picking every other thing. If I target this P tag, it will cover everything inside it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I target this P tag, you know this is a P tag, right? Have you know? Are we following? Are we lost?
No, we're not.
If I target this P tag, then it will affect everything. If I say that everything inside this P tag should be yellow, then it will affect this I, it will affect this arm, it will affect this A, and it will affect boy. So what I want to do is I want to only target boy without touching these ones. So what I can do is I can use a span. I will just keep it inside a container. A span is an inline element. It's like an inline container that you can easily keep something, but it will still be on the same line. It's not going to go to the next line. Now I can now do whatever I want with this span. I can now say, oh, I want everything inside this span to have a color of yellow. I can now say, let's style it. I can now say color yellow. So this will only affect what we have inside this span. Again, this is CSS, not in the scope of what we are doing, but I want us to understand what a span is. A div is a block element that is just used to target something, while a span is an inline element that is also used to target something. When you get to CSS, you will see the usage of, you understand these two the more. Div and a span. A div, a block element, span, an inline element. Any question? So let's get a div together and let's get a span also. I'll delete everything I have on the page. Let's get a div first. Hello world. Hello world. So when I get to the browser, hello world, you realize that the I will be on another line. That's because a div is a block element. But if I use a span, all of them will be together. That's because a span is an inline element. I hope you have an understanding of div and span. Don't worry, it will become clearer when you start using them in CSS. A span, an inline element, a div is a block element. And they are usually used broadly. They are not specific as other tags. Other tags that we've considered so far are specific, but these ones are not specific. So you can use them, like you are going to be using them a lot when you don't know the right, like when you think that okay, this tag will not be the best, this will not be the best, this will not be the best, then you start thinking about div and span. So that's why you need to learn other tags and know the best way to use other tags, because if you don't know the best way to use other tags, you will just realize that most of your tags will be div. Since this is broad, I don't know if you get it. If you don't know how to use other tags or when to use other tags, you will just see yourself using div a lot. Because, like I said, when you just think that there is no perfect tag to create an inline content, then you think of span. And when you think that there is no perfect tag to create a block content, you think of div. So if you don't know when to use main, you just see yourself using div instead. When you don't know when to use section, you just see yourself using div, because you just feel, oh, there's no perfect thing for this. Do we get it? So you need to understand how to use others. When you now think that others are unable to cater for what you want to do, then you think about these ones. They are just used broadly. That's what I want us to note. Any question? Can we move on?
No. Yeah.
Okay. Next is, I want to talk about ID and class. ID and class. We've been using ID all this while. ID. And I told us something that an ID should only be used for one item. Again, when you get to CSS, you understand ID and classes more. But then, just note something. An ID is like a matrix number. Is meant to be specific. A single element, a single ID for only one element. Two things must not share the same ID. Now to class. Class is used to group things together. For instance, this is a class. Currently we are in a class. So a class is used to group things to many things together, more than one. So many elements, many containers can share the same class, but they must not share the same ID. ID cannot be shared. Class can be shared. In fact, that's the essence of class. Class is meant to be shared naturally. Do we understand? When you get to CSS, you'll be using these two, ID and class, to style things and make things beautiful. So maybe you want many things to obey your command. What do? You use a class. When you want a single thing to obey your command, what do? You use an ID. Now we looked at ID and the class. Next is commenting. Commenting is a way of telling your browser to ignore the codes within a particular location. You want to tell the browser that, see, browser, I want you to ignore the codes here. Don't read it. That is commenting. You want to instruct your browser to ignore the codes at some places. For instance, I am going home. A good evening. So I want to instruct my browser that you should ignore this I am going home, such that when I get to the browser, I don't want to see it. At the moment, I will see it too. But I want to instruct my browser that this I am going home, I don't want you to read it. Ignore it. So just go to, if it's just a single line, go to that line and press Ctrl / let me type it out. The shortcut is Ctrl plus slash. Ctrl plus / like Ctrl and / to type it together. Ctrl / immediately you type that, your browser will ignore the codes there. So when I get to the browser now, I won't see those things that I commented. Let's move on. But this is the HTML syntax. If you want to write the syntax, this Ctrl / is broad. It's used for more than HTML. It's used for CSS and other things that you're going to be learning along the line. But this is the syntax in HTML. To comment something, a less than, exclamation mark, double hyphens at the beginning. Then you go to the end, double hyphen, then a greater than. Again, a less than, exclamation mark, double hyphen at the beginning, then go to the end, double hyphen and greater than. But the shortcut is just press Ctrl / and you comment that line. Let's assume you want to comment multiple lines. So let's say I want to comment the two lines together. Just highlight the two of them and press Ctrl / highlight the lines you want to comment and press Ctrl /. So with this now, I've commented this. The browser will ignore the codes here. You only see this on the browser. Any question? Can we move on?
No. Yes.
So we've seen how to comment things in HTML. Let's now look at go to the major thing that will take our time today. That is HTML table. We want to look at how a table looks like in HTML. Now, to make this easier to understand, I will open Microsoft Word. It's not a must that you first create your table in Microsoft Word. It's not a must at all. It's not a must. But then, for the sake of teaching, for the sake of this class, when I want to create any table, I'll first do that in HTML so that you see the results we want to achieve. Then we will now come to HTML and write the codes. Okay. Now, to create a table is the same as the table you use in MS Word. So let's get the table together. Insert. Table. So let's get this simple table together. Table. So I'll say one tile software. So let's assume this table does not have any heading. Two. Let me just put surname, Taye Ajayi, Kinde Ojo, Widowu, I know. So let's say we have this table. Now in a table we have rows and columns, and you need to know the row. This is a row, row 1, row 2, row 3. Don't worry, I will intentionally add one so that we can insert rows below. Okay, so that we can distinguish row from columns. Let's say James and John. Good. This table has 4 rows. That's what I want us to note. This is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. But it has 3 columns. Column 1, column 2, column 3. Do you understand?
Yes.
So this is the row. Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. This is the columns. Column 1, column 2, column 3. Now to create a table, first is you open the table tag. After opening the table tag, you create each of these rows. You create the row first. So to create a row, you say TR. TR stands for table row. Table row. So this TR stands for the first row. Then let's get the second row also. Create another TR. Note that this is not inside the first row. This is another row entirely, but it is still inside the same table. We are saying that the table should have 2 rows. Let's create the third row. Then let's add the last row. So we've created the 4 rows. Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. Let's now go to the row 1 and add the columns there. The row 1 has 3 columns. 1, 2, 3. So I will go to the first row, then I will add the columns. Now each column is represented with something we call TD. Well, you might be thinking that maybe it should be TC to stand for table column. Well, it is TD. TD stands for table data. This allows you to add data to each row. TD allows you to add data to each row. So inside the first row, I have 3 columns. So for the first column, I have 1. So I'll put 1 here. For the second column, I have Taye. Then for the third column, I have Ajayi. So I am done with the first row. Let's go to the second row and add its column also. So in the second row we have 2. Then we have Kende. Then we have Ojo. Let's go to the third row. In the third row we have 3. We have Idowu. I know. So let's go to the fourth row. In the fourth row we have 4. We have James. And we have John. So let's go to the browser and see our results there. So this is it. Don't worry, we'll talk about the lines soon. But I hope you understand what I just explained.
Yes, sir.
Please, do we get it?
Yes.
Okay. Let's now add these lines. To add the lines, you come here and add a border. So it depends on how thick you want it to be. So if I say the border 1, it's going to be 10 lines. Don't worry, when you get to CSS, you'll be able to style your table and make it prettier. But for now, this is a good start. So let's get another table together. This time around, it will just be maybe name and department. So let's get the table again. So I can say department, that is a name, let's say Abdul, department software. Let's say Peter, department hardware. Let's say Tolu. Let's say Tolu, department, let's say CSC. So how many rows do we have in this table?
3.
3 rows.
3.
Good. So let me create a new table for it. So we create a new table, then we'll give it 2 rows. Row 1, row 2, row 3. Then in the first row now, we have 2 columns, Abdul and software. So I'll give it 2 TD, Abdul, another TD, software. Then in the second row, we have 2 columns also. We have Peter and hardware. Then in the third row, we have 2 columns, Tolu and CSC. So we have this. Now we can have a border. If I want it to be thick, I can say the border should be 2. So let's go to the browser and see the results together. Refresh. So we have this one. Maybe I just want a space between the 2 tables. I can just come here and add a BL. Now let's go deeper.
Sorry, sir. What's that BR?
Is that
What is that BR that you just put?
break? It's like you are creating a line. You are saying that
Thank you.
you should break it. I think we looked at that when we did form. This is a self-closing tag, and it will create a line. Like it will break it to the next line. So if I use another BR, it will break it again. Refresh. So if I use another BR again, it will break it again. So BR is, you are saying break to the next line. So I think 1 is fine for what you want to do. Next is These tables don't have headings. The tables we've created, they don't have headings. So let's make our table. Let's give headings to our table. So this time around, I'll be insert one above. So this will be name, and this will be departments. So this one should be bold, of course. So I want to create this table now, a table that looks like this. So I'll delete everything I have on the screen. So again, you create your table tag. But this time around, our table now have head. So this table is like, this is the head of the table, while this is the body of the table. So you will create your table, your T head and T body. So these ones, this name and department, they will be in the T head, while these ones, they will be in the T body. I hope you understand. Do we get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to the T head. In the T head, we have one row, which is this. So you come here and create a row. Then in that row, you have two columns. Now we could have used this. Well, you can use this names and department. But then you use TH instead. This TH will make it thick. It will make it bold. If I don't use this, if I use this, it's not going to be bold. It will be like this. But the TH will make it bold. It will make this one's bold. You can see these ones are now bold. So let's go to the T body. In the T body, I have 1, 2, 3 rows in the T body. So I have 3 rows. I'll create the 3 rows together. Now 1 row, 2 row, 3. So we have the 3 rows. Let's now go to the body. Now in the first row we have Abdul and software. We have Abdul and software. So this is the first row. Let's go to the second row. In the second row, we have pizza and hardware. In the third row, we have Tolu and CSC. Okay, we have Tolu and CSC. So again, let's quickly summarize what we've done so far. We have a table. Inside the table, we divided into two, the T head and the T body. The T head only has one row, which is this. Then in the row we have 2 columns. But I said instead of using TD, now you use TH to make it bold. Now we have the T body. And the T body has 3 rows. It has 3 rows. This is row 1, this is row 2, this is row 3. So in each row we have 2 columns. So I'll get to the browser, you will see a result that looks like this. Next, we want to add our lines. So you go to the table and give it an attribute called border. Then, depending on how thick you want it to be. Any question? Can we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Your table can also have table footer, but then we hardly use it anyway. T foot. You can also have T foot, maybe to signify the footer in a table. Just like you have table head, you can also have the table foot, but you hardly use it. Well, I don't think I've seen any reason why I need to use the T foot, but I need to tell us so that you know that it exists, and who knows, you might get the work that will require you to use T foot. That is that will serve as like footer of a particular table. But I think most tables are usually like this. Heading and the content of the table. Most tables are like this. So now let's proceed. We are going to more interesting things, still on table, but then we'll be doing more things with our table. I want to create a table. Okay, let's do something. I want to match these two columns together. I want to merge them together so that we now have a single column. Something like this. So I'm merging these two together. So let's do that. So I'm merging Abdul and software. And note that the two of them are columns sitting side by side. These two, I want to merge them together. Now what I'm going to do is, I will go to this one. I want us to note that this is one column, this is another column. This is one column, this is another column. This is one column, why this is another column. So what I want to do is, I will say that this column should not be one again, but instead it should span two columns. I come again. I want to say this Abdul should span two columns. So I will come to this place and say cospan 2. Normally the default cospan is 1 by default. That is, if you don't put anything, it's the same as saying cospan 1. If there's nothing there, it's the same as saying cospan 1. This is the difference. But this time around, we now say cospan 2. What you are saying is that you are saying that this Abdul should span two columns, meaning that it's going to have its own column and it will take over the column of whatever is beside it. So with that, it will take over it and that of software. Let's see how it looks like. So this Abdul has spanned, like presently it is spanning two columns. Of course, you need to delete this software so that it's not going to distort your table. So I can now delete this software and everything is perfect now. Good. Let's play with some things together. I will delete this, then I will create a new table. This table will be a bit more than the ones we've created before. Let's stop here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's say A, B, C. So what I want to do is this. I want this one to span through these 3 columns so that I will have this. So that we have this. This is what we want to do. So for a start, table. In this case, we don't have T head and T body, so I'll just go straight to the T rows. We have how many rows? 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. So in the first row, we have 3 columns. So CD 1, CD 2, CD 3. In the second row, we have 3 columns also. CD 4, CD 5, CD 6. In the third row, we have 3 columns also. CD 7, CD 8, CD 9, and same in the last row. CD A, CD B, CD C. Of course, you come here and give it a border. So let's see how it looks like now. We have this. So we want this one to span through 3 columns. So you go to that one and say cospan 3. Notice you put right cospan 3, it's going to span through these 3 columns. Of course, you need to delete these 2 so that your page will not be distorted. If I refuse to delete it, it's going to look like this. So I will now delete these 2 and 3. So I have this. Next, I want us to do this together. 5 and 6. I want to merge these 2 together. So I will look for where 5 is located in my code. This is 5. I'll say cospan 2. So that's going to take its own and the one beside it. So of course I need to delete 6 so that it's not going to distort my page. So now we have, let's refresh this. Now this is fine. Next is I want to, so let's pop up. So next is I want to merge A and B together. So merge cells. So of course go look for where there is A. A is located here and say cospan 2. Then remove this because A is going to take the position of B. So you have this result. A, C like this is fine. So next is we've looked at the cospan. Any question on the cospan before we move to the next one? Do we understand how cospan works?
Yeah.
Okay. Next is we want to make the row span. We are going to the row span now. So I'll just press Ctrl Z. Okay, so let's see what we want to do. Okay, so we have this. Now you want to join 2 rows together, not columns now, but rows. The cospan is to join columns together, while the row span is to join rows together. So I want to join this 1 and 4 together. So I will merge cells. So that is row span. This is row span. So let's do this in our code also. So I'll go to 1. I'll say row span 2. So it's going to span 2 rows. Let's see how it looks like. Oh, border. Sorry, let me bring back border back. Border. Okay, this is it. So we need to delete this 4 to make our code fine, else it will distort it because this one has taken its place. So we have this. This fine now. Next, you want to join 8 and B together. So you go to 8 and say row span 2. So it automatically it's going to take the position of whatever is beneath it, which is this B. Of course, you need to delete the B, else it will distort your page. So 8 has taken the position of this. So let me bring everything back again and look at another one, still under the row span. We are still on row span. What you want to do is, I want to join 5, 8 and B, these three rows. I want to join them together. So that it's going to be like this. 5 will take the position of the 3. So I will go to where 5 is and I will just say row span 3. Row span 3. So let's say row span 3. Of course, you need to delete this 8 because 5 has taken the position. I need to delete this B, else your page will look ugly. So 5 has taken the position of the 3 of them. So lastly, we want to combine both row span and co-span together now and use it for something. So let's see what we want to do now. So I want to join these 4 rows and columns together. This 5 will take the position of everything I've selected. Good. So 5 is going to take the position of everything I've selected. So let's take it step by step. That is where we are going to, but let's take things step by step. First, I will let 5 take position of 6. So that we have a result that looks like this. So I will go to my code. Let's start from, this is our fresh now. I want 5 to take the position of 6. So I will come here and say cospan 2. This will make 5 to take the position of 6. Of course, I need to delete 6. The way this thing works is that it takes the position of the column just beside it. So of course, since 6 will be beside 5, it will just take the position of that column. So I have this result now. 5 has taken the position of 6. Let's go to the next thing. Next, I want 8 to take the position of 9. Match cells. This is the next thing I want to do. I want 8 to take the position of 9. So I will go to 8 and say cospan 2. So with this, 8 has taken the position of 9. Let's go to the browser and see the results. Lastly, I will now say I want 5 to now take the position of 8. So I'm merging the 2 together. So if I do this, then it means I'm actually merging the 4 columns together. I mean this 4 items here. So I want 5 to take the position of 8. So I'll come here and say row span 2. So of course I need to delete this one. So with this now, 5 will take the position of 8. So I'll go to the browser now and refresh. Any question?
Hi. Is there a way you could have done it without having to do it individually?
Yes, you can write it directly. I only use this to make it easy to understand. I only use this method. What we should have done is, I should just have done something like this. So I should have come here and say cospan 2, cospan 2, then I'll delete this, then I'll delete this, and that will give us a result. But that just makes it, I just believe that maybe using the way I explained it, maybe it will be easier to understand. We still have the same result. I should just have written this together and I will delete this and all like that. But I just think that maybe doing it like that will make it easier for us to understand the process. Why we have this, why we have this, But it's not a must that you do it like that. If you're able to understand it directly, just go straight and get your work done. You understand, sir?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So let's merge some things together also. So next, I want to match these ones together. So in this case, I'm merging 2 rows and 3 columns. I'm merging these things together. So I'll go to, but then to make it, like I said, to make it easier to understand, let's take it step by step. Number one, I'll first merge these all row together. So I'll go to 4 and say co-span 3. With that, it will span to 3 columns. So let's go to 4 and say co-span 3. Since it's spanning to 3 columns, I need to delete these 2 so that everything will be fine. So go to the browser, refresh. That's taking over this. Then you go to 7 and say co-span 3 also. So co-span 3, go to 7 and say co-span 3. 3. Of course, you need to delete these 2. So we have this. Then lastly, you now match 4 and 7 together. Like, I think doing them row by row makes it easier to understand. Match the 2 together now. So I can now come here and say U will be row span 2. So it has taken over this one. So at the end of the day, I need to delete this. So let's go to the browser now. Good. So this is fine. Since there's nothing here, let me just delete this. Delete. Oh, that's it. Okay, just leave it like that. It signifies 0. Leave it like that. Any question? Do we understand the explanation? Please, do we get to row span and co-span?
I did, but what just
Yes.
happened
But this
lastly
last
now?
one.
Okay, this last one.
Yeah.
Let's take it again. Okay. We want to achieve this result. Initially, my table was like this. Our table was like this. So I want to merge everything here together. But to make it easy, we said we are going to merge them row by row. Like things on the same row, you first merge them together. So all these ones are on the same row. We merge them together. Merge cells. So I've merged 4, 5, and 6 together. So I'll come here and do the same thing. Co-span 3. So I'm saying that this should span to 3 columns. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So if it spans to 3 columns, of course this 5 and 6 will distort your page. So we want to remove them so that they are not going to distort our page. So we have this now. Next, we want to match everything on this row also together. So 7 will take the position of 8 and 9. So let's do the same thing in our code. 7. Let's say we should co-span 3. Then remove 8 and 9 so that there will be no distortion. Do we still get to this point?
Yes.
Okay. Lastly, we want 4 to just take the next row beneath it. So that 4 will now span to 2 rows. This is row 1 and this is row 2. We just want 4 to take over 2 rows. So we come here and say row span 2. Do we understand? Do we get it?
Yes, sir.
We want 4 to take over 2 rows. If it takes over 2 rows, it will take over the row beneath it, and this is the row beneath it. So with that, it will take over this one also. So I can now remove the 7. We just want 4 to take position of 7 to take this. We want to merge these two together. So that's what we want to do, and that's the end of putting row span 2. It will take the position of whatever it has beneath it. So when we now go to the browser and refresh, you have this. Show you what.
Yes, sir. Can you please display the Sublime text page?
Okay.
Yeah, my question is why do we leave line 17?
Because there's nothing in this row again. We've deleted it. You can write it like this, it's still fine. But just know that there's a row here. Although this TD has taken over the content of that row, but the row still exists.
Okay. Fully understood. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Okay. So we have this. Now, I think we are done with the main teaching of today's class. I mentioned commenting the other time, and remember I said commenting is used to tell the browser to ignore something, right?
Yes.
But let's talk about the importance of commenting. Why do we have it? Because if I want the browser to ignore something, then I don't think it makes sense writing it at all. Since I don't want the browser to read it, then you might ask me, why am I writing this thing? The thing is, most times when you are building an application, you won't be the only one to work on it, especially when you're working on a very big project. You won't be the only one working on a project. For instance, on Medilary now, we have a lot of people working together with me on it. Like, you won't be the only one, especially if it's a big software. So most times you want to add some messages so that other developers can see. But these messages are not meant for the browser. They are not meant for the users. They are only meant for other developers working with you to know the reason you created that thing. Do you understand? You can just say, maybe you can say user table. And like, you just want other developers to know the reason you created that thing. That is, it's like you're adding a comment. Just look at it like in English language, comments. You are just dropping some comments here, but the comments are meant for other developers. One, it can also be meant for you, because if you don't add comments, you might have forgotten the reason you created some things. But by adding comments, even if you check your code in 10 years time and you see the comments, you will easily understand things better. So that is why we add comments to codes, just for you to know, okay, this is the reason we have this, something like that. Any question?
No question.
Okay. Assignment.
Before you give us an assignment, can I ask a totally unrelated question?
Okay, you can.
Last week when we were doing, or was it Tuesday when we were doing anchor tags?
Yes.
You wrote something on Sublime Text, which I asked the question, but I'm not sure you understood. So you wrote A with an underscore. How do you write that?
Like this.
Am I the only one reading that A with a green line as underscore?
This underscore.
Yes.
There's it's Sublime Text that is putting this, that puts this underscore. As you can see, it's no longer there.
Now I understand. I was confused.
Okay. it just shows that this, like currently I'm on this line. It just to show that I'm currently on this line. Once I go to another line, as you can see, it has underlined this table.
I understand it now. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, sir. Oh, I was trying to understand the question on the Google. Oh, I thought you were referring to this one. Okay. Let's proceed. Now, assignments. Our next class is on Tuesday. Okay. To do this assignment, I will quickly teach us a bit of CSS. A bit. If you want to style something, you will use something we call style. Let's say I have a paragraph, and in this paragraph I have some text. Let's say let me just add some text. So I have this text in this paragraph. Now I want to change the background color of this paragraph to, let's say, yellow. So I will come to this place. I'm still within this p tag, but before this less than, note what how we are doing it. We are doing a bit of CSS. When you get to CSS, you understand this thing better. But what you are doing is for you to be able to do the assignments I want to do. So this P, you say style. This style is tells the browser that what you have here is CSS, not HTML. You say style equals to, I can now add background color, yellow. So the background color of this P tag now will be yellow. Okay. Next, I want to change the color of the text on it. The color of this text. I want to change it to blue. Still within this place, I will add semicolon. Semicolon means I'm not done yet. I want to add another thing. Color blue. Note I'm still within this style. This style starts here and it ends here. So look at the double quote. This double quote starts here and it ends here. So everything will be within that double quote. You can use single quotes if you want to, it will still work fine. But everything will be within that place. Background color, the color you want to use. Then semicolon, meaning you want to put another thing beside it. Then color blue. This is like text color. I'm saying that the text color should be blue. Good. I think that's the only CSS that we're going to do at this level. Now, what we want to do is we want to build a dot board. Aha, this is the one. This particular board, please build it for me. Like, note this center line that it is red. This is red. While this is, this can be white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, red, white, black, white, black, and like that. So when we get to the next class, I'll give you another assignment. But first build this. This should not take time. I don't expect it to anyway. It should not take time. So please.
So we are building this in form of a table, right?
Yes, of course. You need a table. To make it easy, you can put a text inside all of them. You can just put 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Because without that, you may not be able to do it. Just put a text inside everything. Just put a little text. But then let it be like this. Any question? But when you get to CSS, you'll be able to do this, like these and many more. It will be easier to do. You'll be able to even build this one with this is it Pebbles now? You're able to do all of these things and give it shadow, make it beautiful and all of that. But for now, let's just do this one. Then the next class, we'll be building a Ludo game. Thank you very much. I will upload the video and send it to us.